Why sovereign gold bond scheme has become Indian government's big gold gamble. Was it gold boom or fiscal doom? Why Indian government could not control its debt burden and what lies in it for us? Did you also invest in sovereign gold bond scheme thinking it's a good investment? So did the government. But now it has become a huge fiscal challenge for them, where the sovereign gold bond debt has gone up to rupees 1.5 lakh crores and the government is trying to understand what to make of it. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to understand the sovereign gold bond scheme, which was supposedly the master stroke of the Indian government to reduce the dependency on gold imports, to reduce the burden on the foreign exchange reserves, and also to facilitate investment via gold-linked bonds is kind of backfiring when there is such a huge debt looming around. Now let us start by understanding what exactly was the sovereign gold bond scheme and what is the accumulated debt we have in front of us and why is this a problem. So a very simple thing, sovereign gold bond is just like another bond, but here the returns are linked two ways. First, you will get the redemption price based on the prices of gold, and second, you will get the interest regularly paid out. So for example, just to simplify this for you, for example, if you invested 100 rupees and they have promised that they will give you 2.5% of annual interest, that means every year you will get 2.5 rupees as interest, and whatever is the value of gold over years, whenever you would be redeeming that, you will get that value also. So the value of asset remains intact and furthermore you get to have interest also on this. We will be understanding the features of sovereign gold bond also in detail. Now this was a scheme that was brought in to address many issues, because in our country gold not only has investment value, it also has a lot of cultural value. That is why there is a lot of demand for gold all year long and especially during the festivities. And because we are not a major gold producing nation, we had to import a lot of gold. So in order to address or reduce this import dependency, government thought obviously people who want to use physical gold, that cannot be replaced, but people who just want to buy gold for the investment purposes, that can be addressed. So that was the idea of bringing in sovereign gold bond. It will serve two purposes. Import dependency of gold will be reduced, and the government usually does borrow through bonds, which can be done in this particular way. Now, as of now, this scheme has been discontinued. The last tranche that came, that was in February 2024. But even if we compare just the financial of 24-25, we get to see more than 35% of increase in this very year, in this very financial year. The increase is way more if you compare from the first month of 2024 and present. So that is higher. Now that the government has promised we will be returning based on the increase in value of gold, the prices are skyrocketing, and that is how government's debt burden is also increasing. So as of now, the total outstanding is 126 tons and the current price that is today, that is around 13,000 per gram. That means 1,30,000 for 10 grams. Now this is where government has been kind of tapped out, because they were not expecting this kind of fiscal burden, and this is something that cannot be predicted, because the gold price, the increase that we are seeing, it is majorly fueled by global uncertainty. Because gold is considered as a safe haven asset by investors, they are demanding more gold because of the global uncertainties, be it the tariff wars, be it the wars that are going, be it the conflicts, be it the protests, and amidst this, investors want something safe to hold. So they are choosing gold. That is why the demand of gold is rising and the supply is limited, the price are shooting up. Now the question that must be arising in your mind, if this was a possibility, why did the government did not stop it, or why did not government was not more cautious? We'll be getting into that. Now let us understand that what exactly were the features of sovereign gold bonds and what exactly is sovereign gold bond. So when we are talking about sovereign gold bonds, basically they were government securities where government will be taking money based on the denominations in grams of gold. So let's just say you get 1 gram of gold and that will be paper bagged, you will not be getting fiscal gold. Now that was not directly done by Government of India, it was issued by Reserve Bank of India and it was paper bagged and in digital form. Now what was the condition that was introduced with it? For example, let's just say you bring in 1 gram, hypothetically you buy 1 gram of gold here, sovereign gold bond scheme, you invest in 1 gram of gold. Now for this 1 gram of gold you have to lock it in, the tenure will be 8 years. After 8 years you can redeem it and redemption will be done on the basis of the gold prices. So whatever the rise in the gold price will happen, that will be given to you and there will be 2.5% interest that will be given to you. Furthermore, government also gave the benefit that there was no capital gains tax when you will be doing the redemption. Furthermore, government also allowed the tradability. That means this paper, because it was substitute for physical gold, it can be traded in the market. It can also be used as a loan collateral in the bank and it was supposed to be held in a demat format account or a certificate form itself. So this was a win-win situation, especially for investors in gold, where they will get the value of gold. It is not in physical form, so nobody has to worry about robbery, being lost, the devaluation, the making charges, and furthermore the interest payout was also there. Now in this situation, when we are talking about the sovereign gold bonds, we have understood. Now let us move and understand that how this debt which government planned as a master stroke has increased at such a pace. The first and obvious reason is that the liability, the amount the government has decided to give back was gold linked. As much as the price will rise, the redemption value or the money investor will get, that will rise. So just to get an idea of that, let us look at this given graph. If you see this particular date, it is 30th December 2023, that means beginning of 2024, end of 2023, and when I am talking about present time, that is today, you will see a difference of almost 94% in prices. That means prices have shot up by almost 61,000. So that means government's burden of returning the money has also shot up these many times. So because the prices are government linked, then the government has to bear the burden. Second thing that we are seeing, that the price surge, as I have explained, has been immense and that increases the liability itself. Now this is an added burden, fiscal burden in itself. Now government also has to manage the fixed interest that it has promised, and this will also cause the continuous outflow that keeps happening. Apart from that, a big problem is the fact that there will be maturity and it will be coming together, which we are labeling as maturity clustering. So this scheme began in 2015 and the tenure was of 8 years. Now people who bought it in the first tranche, their 8 years are going to be completed in 2023. Now their 8 years are completed, they are waiting for their money. After that, 2016, their 8 years will be completed 2024. Then it goes on till 2032 because the last tranche came in 2024 itself. So for next few years, there will be bulk redemptions and government has to be ready for it. That means this recurring outflow will happen also But this maturity clustering has already begun and government needs to be prepared for this. And then there is another issue that there is no hedge mechanism to offset the rising gold prices. That means government cannot do as of now anything to control the gold prices or at least de-link it with sovereign gold bonds. When we talk about sovereign gold bond liability, we cannot think of it as something new because it is a already existing cost, but the problem here is that it has been intensified as of now, which worsens the fiscal burden that the government was expecting. Now in this situation, because the fiscal burden is increasing, the fiscal risks are also intensifying, as I have said, and these will lead to certain effects. Now let us try to understand those effects in detail. So when we are talking about the first direct effect, it will definitely be the fiscal strain that government would have to manage. It is as simple as that. For example, you planned that I will be spending 5,000 when I have to give it back to my friend, but all of a sudden because of certain miscalculations you realize that you have to give back 10,000 rupees to your friends. It will disturb your monthly budget. So this is how government's budget will also be disturbed, and there will be a lot of strain because this will be directly added to the public debt, and the government which it has as deficit targets, that might not be met. Furthermore, there is an additional interest burden that we have talked about, that government has to be prepared for 1500 to 1700 crores that needs to be given as fixed interest, and that calls for a proper management even at this point of time, because this price 1.5 lakh crore as of now is also not fixed, because gold prices still are volatile and ever increasing, and they can increase further. So in this situation, we have to be prepared, the government has to be prepared to manage the fiscal deficit and also not compromise on productive expenditure. That means if government puts their money in this particular deficit, the government might have to let go of making schools, roads, infrastructure, and we don't want that. So government has to come up with a very subtle balance. Another thing that we get to see as an effect, that we have understood the investment behavior not just by the investment in sovereign gold bond scheme, even the present stats. Gold ETFs are leading the gold rush. Furthermore, even after when the price of gold as of today stands at 1,30,000 plus, there is still demand for it, and it reinforces the fact that it is the safe haven asset and investors will continue to bet on it as well. Another direct impact that we will see, if we talk about current account deficit, we will get some reinforcement there, some support there, because the physical gold imports have been reduced as a result of sovereign gold bond scheme. There we will find that government will enjoy the benefits, and another factor that you need to consider, that SGB has also been responsible for investors' financial inclusion, where bare minimum has also been allowed to invest, and that has also resulted in financial inclusion. So the question that arises here is, just because of the volatility of gold, did sovereign gold bond did not work as the master stroke as it was planned? Not at all. Sovereign gold bond did deliver on many fronts, and it has a cost added to it, the risk added to it, and the government definitely needs to bear it. But when we talk about the positive impacts or the help it did to the Indian economy, you have to understand that more than 300 plus tons of gold was absorbed via sovereign gold bond during the duration it was functional. That means this much of import dependency was reduced, this much of dependency on dollar was reduced, and we also saved our foreign exchange reserves. Furthermore, it saw financialization of savings. When we talk about concentrated gold culture, households moved from there and they went into savings, that to formal savings. And at the end of the investor, we also find that this enabled safe inflation hedged returns. It was transparent, it was digital, and it also brought in tax efficiency for the investors. So if we talk about investors, it comes as a masterstroke, yes, but for the government in the coming years, they would have to understand the technicalities better and plan better when they are thinking about sovereign gold bond related experience and such schemes, because SGB was a huge success in formalizing gold investment, but the price linked liabilities made it risky for the government. Government can later consider capped incentives in order to reduce the risks that are coming with it, and future policies when the government will bring in, they would need to work on financial innovation, but at the same time fiscal realism which government can bear for the longer term. Now I'll leave you with a practice question here. You can put down the answers in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.